to the Short Council. I'm your host, Trevor, and here with me are the PBD All-stars, starting at my left, Jeremy, Vanessa, and Ashley. Here we are discussing the third episode of Season 8 of Doctor Who, and the question of the hour is whether or not this episode flew straight like an arrow, or whether the Robin Hood and his merry men was a merry bad idea. Jer, straight arrow or merry bad?
What the hell was that?
It was for no reason. No reason at all.
It was, I don't know, like a fun episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very strange to have a filler episode so early in the season, you know? Like,
Especially when the last two are kind of
Well, you guys did mention
episodes.
in the beginning too, you gotta soak your feet in, give the people what they want, get them all nice and adjusted, and then go in with the heavy stuff. So maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, none of it really worked. And what's more, it didn't seem to work for the Doctor either. The Doctor's dragging his feet the whole time, fighting the story, trying not to be a part of what is unfolding as a Robin Hood story. Every step of the way being a fly in the ointment. It was kind of a nice thing, I thought.
That is not Robin Hood.
He just gave in to Clara's whim that came, you know. She might as well have just picked her nose and been like, oh yeah, like Robin Hood.
Oh my god, it is, isn't it? Oh, you found him. You actually found Robin Hood.
Well, maybe
Since
he's
when?
still trying to give in to her because she's all like, you're old. He's like, well, maybe I'll just give you what you want. So you like me. Because
I can
my
still
taste
give you what you
changed.
want, baby. I can give you adventures in time.
Oh, baby, you got what I need.
I think my favorite scene out of the whole thing was when they were doing the weird thing with all the arrows kept going through each other's arrows, and finally the Doctor was like, alright, fuck this shit. And then it just exploded, and he's like, okay, let's just move on. We're moving on now. Yes, robots, life. Let's continue on the story. I'm done with this. I was like, yes, I am also done with this, Doctor. Thank you for moving the plot along. That was nice.
I feel like a really negative trend is starting up here in this new series. This is the second time now that the Doctor has used a sonic screwdriver to some sort of explosive effect. In the first episode, he blew up the reins on that horse, and they all blew up for some reason, even though that's not a power that sonic screwdrivers ever had. And I mean, he did mention that the arrow he used was a homing arrow, so maybe he also built an explosive into it so he could explode it later. But I don't like this seemingness of the Doctor being able to point his sonic screwdriver at something and have things blow up.
Shoots an explosion.
It's not an explosion shooter. Ashley, were you charmed at all by this Robin Hood story? He was kind of a dashing Robin Hood, right?
By the character in general?
Yeah.
Well, Robin Hood is a dashing, charming character. He has to be.
Well, sure, but how did you feel he felt in? He fit in with the setting on the episode and everything.
It was a little over the top, a little cheesy, a little kiddish, a little ha ha.
Yeah, what was with that?
It was some swashbuckling adventure, and that's what they were trying to go for, but
It fit the period, it fit the time, it fit the storyline.
He was the tackiest Robin I've ever seen.
It helped fit the Doctor being like, you can't be real. Like, this is
That's
literally
why he
impossible.
kept saying that.
Like, ugh.
Maybe it was meant to be over the top so the Doctor could, I don't know,
You know, he
Be
kept
annoyed
saying he
with
was a
that.
robot,
mm-hmm.
and he didn't really try too hard to find out who he was. He didn't try too hard to find out who he was at all.
I mean, he was pulling hair and blood off of the
the
other
other
merry
people.
men.
We'll do you last.
It's a weird juxtaposition where we have an older Doctor, but less mature stories.
Yeah, that is true.
I feel like my hands are really being held all of these episodes. Everything's very overt. There's no real subtle draw in here. And with the end message of "I'm just as real as you are, Doctor," I just don't know how I feel about that. Like, is that just a flimsy justification for inserting this character that doesn't necessarily exist except in legend? Is this basically like a comic book team up, like Batman and Superman, or like or something more obscure, like Punisher and Archie, or like what?
Punisher and Archie.
Look it up. So, of course, it couldn't just be him showing up and participating in the standard issue Robin Hood legend. It had a good sci-fi element in here. What did you think about the Mechanical Men, you guys?
I thought they were some of the cooler looking robots that I've seen on Doctor Who. I mean, they don't look like a telephone or a bell like a Cyberman does, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They just look like armor. Like, they kind of fit with the period, I thought.
The robot knights.
Yeah, like the masks opened
The
up.
Knights of the Robotic Tale.
It vaguely reminded me of the Ice Warriors, and maybe that's just subliminal because of some of the markings, but also because he had mentioned the Ice Warriors at the beginning of the episode. But they kind of had to look similar to the Ice Warriors, the ones from Mars, kind of reptilian. Look it up. But they had this weird like cross, like purple cross thing going on. Was that just like incidental imagery, or what do you think about that game?
After they showed the first cross laser forehead thing, then they locked them up, and then there's that cross.
When they're in the dungeon
In the
there,
dungeon.
yeah.
The
So
light
it's
is
kinda like
falling
this-
on the doctor, or whatever.
I think it was just to fit like that time period because Crusades are going on.
Overall, though, it was kind of like a weird alien sort of menace, I think, because like comparatively, these were sort of weak robots with like weak powers. Like when you look at like the Daleks, who they fire their shot, it like zaps them and kills them instantly, and you can't really like block it with things. And in this, they had to like concentrate their laser blast on somebody for like 5 seconds to obliterate them, and then you could deflect it with reflective surfaces. Like, these were some low-tech robots. These were not upgraded.
It was the Dark Times. I mean,
Well, to us, but surely not to galactic life if these are spacefaring
they
robots.
used a golden arrow to power their spaceship. It just had to like go.
That was-
Okay.
that was
off the space now.
Oh, all the gold I needed! It just hit me! Oh, perfect!
That was pretty dubious. It just has to be in contact with the ship for it to.
They're melting all this gold in this perfect circuit board,
Yeah,
and then they just an arrow point. Like, okay, it's good to go.
All the gold I needed.
Did you also notice they had like English accents when he incinerates or whatever, slow cooks that peasant.
This one is uses are up.
This peasant is useless.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was what was really upsetting to me was that they went with the Robin Hood whole pastiche, and they used literally the most well-known Robin Hood story, the whole like shooting contest and everything. Like they didn't even take an opportunity to shake it up and present some like alternate Robin Hood adventure or anything.
They don't want to piss off the fans. They want to keep them nice and cool.
Oh, nice and safe. Here's some Daleks. Spoon feed, spoon feed, spoon feed. Is everyone kind of feeling a little let down here with the new series so far?
Oh, with this episode specifically, yeah.
I am wondering who they even made that episode for. I mean, in this day and age, who likes Robin Hood that much?
I get the feeling that this is like a script that's been being shopped around at the studio, like the Doctor Who offices for a long time. Like one guy is like, well, what about my Doctor Who script? Oh, Martin, look, I mean, it's an alright script, but come on, man, Robin Hood? We're gonna put him in there with Robin Hood? It's like, well, Robin Hood's just as real as the Doctor.
Move this man!
Last 3 episodes have been very overt in telling us exactly what they mean to tell us, and in some cases it's just a lesson I don't think I need. But you know, on the other hand, guys, Stephen Moffat has said in interviews that that Doctor Who is a children's program, and you know, I mean, who are we as the audience to argue with that premise?
They threw a guy in molten gold. They essentially like Game of Thrones him. Like, holy fuck.
The Golden Age!
Yeah, how is this for children? And then, like, you want to argue it's for children, all the other much more scarier bad guys, like the angels and stuff like
They had
that.
a flesh balloon.
There was a flesh
That's not
balloon.
for children.
It was made of flesh.
No, there are absolutely some very scary premises, but unfortunately, they're mixed with a very juvenile storytelling method.
There's no point in being grown up if you can't be childish sometimes.
Overall, I'm going to give this episode a thumbs down. If when you're watching this, when the whole season is out on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever, and you're rewatching the season, I don't see any reason to tune in for this one. Guys, anyone want to step up? Who's the White Knight? Who's going to defend the episode? No one's stepping up to defend this episode.
I give this episode 0 mugs out of 5. Here's looking at you, Rhinus.
Vanessa, you noticed something here about what was something that was missing from this episode specifically. What was that?
We didn't get to see an end clip of Paradise.
The Doctor's alleged girlfriend, Missy, did not
Yeah.
make her appearance. What could this mean? Any thoughts?
There was another, this is not completely different, I'm not bringing up something completely different, but there was another reference to the Promised Land.
Mm-hmm. Yes, there was.
And I'm guessing those things have something, that the Missy thing and wherever she is, I think they have something to do with that in some weird way. I don't know why.
Well, she said that she's at Paradise, which is supposed to be the Promised Land if you listen to what the Doctor has said in the first episode of the season. So the ship's coordinates was to go to that place when it crashed in Sherwood.
Now we've had 2 sets of alien robots that are trying to repair their broken spaceship to get to the Promised Land.
But we can't just,
And balloons and castles.
What if the Doctor made a mistake in assuming that's what the robot meant in the first episode when he said, "I must get to the Promised Land"? Maybe he is supposed to be going to a specific destination.
Paradise made for robots.
See, I think that might be, if they were that clever, then that's like, that's the kind of Doctor Who cleverness I like. Maybe it just went by my head the first time.
But if it was a paradise that was made for robots or something, then why did the chick that died from the Daleks go there? Is it because she died inside a Dalek, and a Dalek is kind of like, a half robot, thanks to who's the guy that made the Daleks?
Davros.
Thanks to Davros?
Are you threatening me?
Well, if it's a robotic connection, if that's what this series is going to be about, what about the whole opening credits with the gears and the Clockwork Men? They're really leaning it on. I personally think they're really gearing towards. Pun intended. Gearing towards that.
Absolutely. No, I think this has some. This theory's got some legs.
These are my top operatives: the legs, the nose, and Mrs. Robinson.
I hate you.
No, you don't.
One thought that I had concerning this whole heaven, afterlife, Missy thing is that we've had 3 episodes, and the 2 people that we've seen pulled into heaven were characters who sacrificed themselves in some way. Perhaps. Because the control node robot in the first episode may have been pushed out by the Doctor, or maybe he killed himself, sacrificing himself to finally put a stop to all of this. And certainly the soldier basically knew she was going to die, but would have given them an opportunity to stop the Dalek from going crazy and killing everybody inside the spaceship. So those 2 characters sacrificed themselves and were pulled into paradise by Missy. And in this episode, the character that most poignantly dies, the Sheriff of Nottingham, he does not sacrifice himself in any way and does not get pulled into heaven. This is the only mystery I'm actually hooked on. This is the only thing that they've been stringing me along, and I'm kind of disappointed they didn't put anything in. On the other hand, maybe not putting it in was as effective as showing something in this case.
Making people wonder.
Making people wonder. So.
Like, wow, what's all this childish stuff we're going through? Who is this chick? Like, that's what everyone wants to know.
Well, it's got me wondering. It sounds like it's got you all wondering. And I guess we'll have to find out for the next episode, which looks like it might be a little scary.
Yes,
That looks
dark.
suspenseful.
Yeah,
Like childhood bed stories, like creepy what's under your
Children's hands
bed.
grabbing children's legs from underneath the bed.
I want to hear spoken like horror stories read out loud by Peter Capaldi. He's just got like a really great quality voice for that. Like in the promo where he's he's like growling in Scottish about like the thing underneath your bed and all that. No, it's really effective. So I'm excited. Hopefully next week will please a little bit more than this one did. So for the Short Council, I'm Trev. These are the PBD All-stars, and we'll see you again next week.
Peanut butter disaster.